Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. Glad to have you guys here on this 25th, Thursday, the 25th of April, 2024. Thank you for tuning in. We got a problem out there in Ukraine. And basically what it is the United States has sent, of what I gather, there's over 100 of them. And they're going to send more. These MGM 140 ATACMS, ATACMS. It's a tactical missile system. And see a picture of it behind my head there. They're sort of like a ballistics missile launcher, sort of like a small version of a ICBM, except it's very small. It's not capable of the distance of an ICBM, but it is a supersonic flight vehicle. It travels at 3 times the speed of sound. If we look here, we can see the specs on it right here. It weighs 3,690 pounds. It's 13 feet long. It's 24-inch diameter. Wingspan of 55 inches. 190 miles it can travel, or 300 kilometers, which is a considerable range. 160,000 foot flight ceiling. It's supersonic in excess of Mach 3. And it's GPS aided. The navigational guidance system. So that's what they sent them. The United States sent Ukraine. And let me see, I had an article on here about it. U.S. secretly sent long-range missiles to Ukraine for its fight with Russia. Okay? It says the United States in recent weeks secretly shipped these long-range missiles, the ones I just showed you, to Ukraine for use in its battle in its fight of the Russian invaders. Now, here's the thing, guys. Ukraine was attacking Russia inside Russian territory using those drones and stuff, but they weren't real effective. But they did. It's amazing what they were able to do with them, really. They blew up quite a bit of stuff. They did quite a bit of stuff with those little drones. They come flying in about 90. They're like the drones that were used on Israel from Iran. And they come in flying about 90 miles an hour, and they're like a little buzz. They come buzzing. You can hear them. Bee. They're like a little model airplane, except a little bit bigger version that's unmanned, And they're pretty easy to shoot down and stuff, and that's what they've been using against Russia. But this is a totally different animal now, these ATACMS the United States has sent them. They fly at Mach 3. And they do a heck of a lot more damage, and they're much easier to target and stuff and what this gives the Ukrainian army is it gives them a way of striking deep inside Russian territory and doing some really serious damage now to Russia on Russian soil. This gives them the ability to do that. Now, every time that they would attack in the past, Ukraine would attack Russia deep inside Russian territory, which they have, generally a response would come back from Russia within a day or two, and Russia would bomb Ukraine, or Russia would attack Ukraine with missiles of their own, trying to attack infrastructure, etc., etc. But if they start to do some really, really serious damage with these ATACMS, these MGM 40 ATACMS, like pictured behind my head there, what would Russia's response be? What could Russia do in retaliation, especially if they were to really start doing some serious damage inside Russia? That's my question. How could Russia respond in a way that they haven't done already? They've already, this puts concern, and a reason why it puts concern, well, going back earlier in the war, I remember they were talking about things like, should we establish a no-fly zone over Ukraine? And they said, well, and this was very early in the war, and they said, no, we're not going to do that. It might start World War III. We better not do that. Can we send Ukraine early in the war? They said, can we send Ukraine airplanes? You know, like F-16s and stuff like that. And they said, no, we better not do that. It might start World War III. And they were very concerned. But as time has progressed and they've seen that World War III hasn't started, they've been getting more and more emboldened as to what they can get away with pushing the red lines, so to speak, you know? And now with this is really putting in Ukraine's hands something that could do some disastrous damage. Quite seriously. This thing's like a mini ICBM behind my head there. Able to fly almost 200 miles. And you know, Ukraine borders on Russia. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens with this. But it could possibly escalate this war much further, much faster. We'll have to wait and see. But if it does escalate it, we'll see what Russia does. It's all out of our control. We don't. It's the governments have control over all this, and we can only watch from the sidelines as this progresses. Now, Russia has vetoed a United Nations, I should say. Russia has vetoed a United Nations resolution to prevent a nuclear arms race in space. In other words, they're saying, okay, we got a resolution here. We're going to stop. We're not going to have a nuclear arms race in space. And Russia says, no, wait a minute. We haven't agreed to this. They're calling on countries not to deploy weapons of mass destruction in outer space. But Russia is vetoing this resolution. And so what does that mean? It means that, well, maybe Russia's got plans on stuff, you know. This is going to be, it says, they're trying to prevent a dangerous nuclear arms race in outer space, describing it as a dirty spectacle. They would have called on all countries not to deploy or develop nuclear arms or other weapons of mass destruction in space, which were already banned under a 1967 international treaty. It says, today's video begs the question, why? Why, if you are following the rules, would you not support a resolution? It says. And of course, they're pointing the finger at Russia there, probably, when they're saying that. Why would you not support this resolution? They say, what could you possibly be hiding, the U.S. ambassador to the UN, Linda Thomas Greenfield, said after the vote. This says Thomas Greenfield made the comments after saying that the Russian President Vladimir Putin had already stated that Moscow had no intention of deploying nuclear weapons in space. Well, I don't know. I think that they would all of them would probably just love to weaponize space. Well, here's these two horses. The white horse and the black horse, and I guess there's 4 horses in all, but 2 of them now are in serious condition. They're having to do medical things to these horses. It says these horses that bolted and ran through the streets of London. It says that they are in bad condition, evidently. It says 2 of them are unfortunately in relatively serious condition, and obviously we'll be monitoring that condition, Defense Minister James Cartledge told Sky News. They are in very serious condition, but as I understand, they are still alive. So evidently they're doing operations on these horses. Now, something else you guys need to know out there is that there's milk products. Okay, let's talk milk products. Cottage cheese, yogurt, cheese, Uh, all of your things like chocolate milk, your milk, you know, there's so many things that have milk products in them that maybe you don't know have milk products in them. And this milk now is testing positive for bird flu. It says what you need to know here. It says federal officials say the risk to the public remains low. It says after the Food and Drug Administration announced Wednesday that tests of commercially available milk detected traces of bird flu in the milk. So you're drinking. But what I heard was that the pasteurization process kills it. That's what I heard, you know. I'm going to tell you what. Some world we're living in where deadly, absolutely deadly pathogen, you know, could actually be in our food supply now. Made its way. Now, if it's made its way into our food supply, how long until it mutates and makes its way into the human population? And this son of a gun is much, much more potent and deadly than the last one we had. Now, moving on into our markets today, you know, we got silver going up today, 17 cents at 27.27. That's what silver's doing. And gold today is up $9.40 at 23.24. Well, they're doing good because a lot of other stuff's going down right now, including the markets. Cryptocurrency today. Bitcoin is holding its own at 63,495. 31.20 for Ethereum. And XRP's at 52 cents. So, Bitcoin's just kind of like sitting on the sidelines watching the whole show right now, and it's kind of like taking a little breather just for a little while. It really did go up pretty high, pretty quick there. It was quite a little bull we had. But right now it's taking a little breather, and now what's it going to do on the other side of this breather when it starts to move again? It's not going to stay in at this price range forever, I can tell you that. Dow Jones Industrial Average is down almost 700 points today. 681 points, or 1.77%, is a big drop in the Dow. 37,779. And I think that the bond market, you know, is starting to get up to that point. It's up again today. The higher that bond market goes, I think the more it's going to negatively impact this market. And the bonds are not cooling off. They're going higher. Taking a look now at the crude oil today is at $82.10. It's down 71 cents. So the impact on the market is affecting crude a little bit. Could be. I'm not exactly sure what's impacting crude, but I think it could be. See, if they think there's deflation or depression coming into the world, they use less crude. And that can have a negative impact on the crude price. A recession or a depression. Less oil consumption. But then on the other side of that coin, things that can raise the price of crude is war. Potential war in the Middle East can really sharply raise the price of crude, especially if they start attacking crude oil facilities and things, or cutting off places like the Strait of Hormuz. That can really positively affect the price of crude. So, crude market is quite the market. It's the only market I know that is so sensitive to volume. You got a daily volume that the world uses of crude, an exact amount. Crude producers, if they produce that exact amount, prices remain stable. If they don't quite produce enough crude for the world's supply each day, then the price raises really quickly. But if they produce a little bit too much, the price drops significantly. And it's very, very sensitive to that mechanism. Supply-demand mechanism. It's very sensitive to it, crude is. Bonds and rates today. We're seeing those rising yields again today, see? Look, 4.71 on the 10-year. So we cracked 4.7 now. Up 5.8 basis points. And the U.S. 30 years at 4.82. It's up 3.9 basis points. So here we're getting up close to that 5% mark I was telling you guys about. And I said the markets will turn if it gets too close. And it's already, the markets are starting to turn. We're at 4.71. We're getting up close to that 5 marker. Now, taking a look at the U.S. dollar index today at 105.68 on the dollar index today. And the dollar's going down just a little bit, but I could almost call that sideways movement today. Thank you guys for listening to my show. You guys have a great afternoon, and thank you for viewing my show, and I really appreciate that. And bye-bye, guys.